everyone, this is Danesha and
hi, this is Courtney.
And today we are coming with the second episode of our Boundaries series. We are discussing boundaries with body shamers.
Whew. Oh yeah.
Yes. So I am going to ask Courtney to share with us just how she works with her clients, specifically about sharing that message and how we can begin to set boundaries with body shamers. And one of the things that she brings to our agency is intuitive eating, and we are all excited about just learning more about that. So Courtney, would you tell us just a little bit about how you help your clients with setting boundaries and understanding what intuitive eating is and recognizing body shaming?
Definitely. Yeah, that's such a hot topic, especially right now, when we're dealing with close quarters with our families and kind of having that time just to self-reflect.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a lot of people with the eating disorders and individuals, many individuals who fall on that eating disordered eating spectrum. And a lot of people don't realize that there even is a spectrum.
Mm.
So it's definitely important when I work with clients to talk about those boundaries, not only externally with other people in their relationships, but within themselves as well. So understanding and identifying when we're hearing body shaming language within ourselves and food policing within ourselves. Danesha, I do want to point out though, with this video especially, this video is for educational purposes. So if you're at home watching and you feel that the content of intuitive eating and body shaming is just difficult to process, reach out to your mental health provider. This definitely is not to supplement or to replace therapy. I just want to honor that in people's journey with diet, food, with themselves, wherever you're at in your intuitive eating journey.
Definitely.
So yeah, one of the things about boundaries when it comes to intuitive eating is first within yourself. So when you talk about identifying a diet culture mentality and separating diet culture mentality with intuitive eating, we really want to think about, how am I talking to myself? How am I policing my behaviors, my food choices, my fitness, my exercise, body movement choices? How am I using judgment to inflict feelings of shame or guilt in order to meet that unattainable, unhealthy, really harmful standard that diet culture projects within us and within our own family systems?
When you speak of diet culture and you talk about that judgment and that self-talk to yourself, I think it's important for us to begin to identify, like, when you are judging and critiquing yourself, where is that message coming from?
Yes.
Like, is it really coming from self? Is it coming from the expectations of other people? Or is it coming from, just like what you said, this whole diet culture of what a woman is supposed to look like, or a man is supposed to be shaped like, and how that even goes into what we identify as characters of those people?
Definitely. One of the main things that I talk about with a lot of our clients is a movement called Health at Every Size. So Health at Every Size really is to help not only individuals but medical providers themselves and health professionals really understand that the stigma of different shapes and sizes of bodies, that there is no one standard that's going to be healthy.
Right. We
can have somebody in a larger body or somebody in a smaller body and have very different levels of medical wellness. But really we can't have that judgment based on what somebody looks like on the outside.
Yes, because I think that's where the shaming comes in. It's like, I have my idea of what healthy looks like, and so I expect for you to also look this way of healthy. But what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. Right. I think sometimes, Courtney, that even goes with like people signing up for a gym.
Yes.
Because they don't want the idea of like, oh, someone's going to shame me for how I'm presenting myself.
Right.
Or even how much time I spend working out there. So, yeah. It's super
And
important.
that's a fine line too. So what we talk about in a lot of CBT is working through all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
And definitely with intuitive eating, it's not saying stop working out, stop what you're doing. It's asking you to reflect on the intentions, the motivations behind those choices. Are
Right.
you going to the gym to be healthy, maybe feel good, maybe relieve some stress? Or are you going to the gym because you want to lose the baby fat, or you want to lose the freshman 15, or you want to
The COVID 15
the
now.
COVID 15. And we had talked about, you and I before, about the difference between fitness goals and body expectations.
Yeah.
It's like our goals are coming from our intrinsic inner wisdom of, you know what, I feel so good when I leave the gym, when I'm lifting weights, when I'm dancing, doing my Zumba class. I love how I feel at the end of the week.
Yes.
Versus that thing of, I'm so lazy unless I go to the gym every single day. Or I'm, fat shaming or body shaming if I don't meet those expectations of losing 20 pounds in 1 month.
Yes.
Like there's so many there's so much pressure.
I was just about to say, it sounds like a whole lot of pressure, girl. Like,
yes, it's a lot of that, breaking the all or nothing thinking, replacing it with realistic goals, and really learning how to trust your body, to see in yourself, like, you know what is this choice doing for me? Is it giving me this sense of security, of calmness? Is it helping me feel more clear-headed? What am I giving to myself through this choice versus the judgment of, I need to be following a strict regimen, a diet regimen, or a workout regimen that may or may not be helpful.
Yes. Okay. So what you just said, we're looking at the idea of what fulfills me versus what is helping take away from me. Yes. Right. Yes. That's super important.
Right. So really dealing with the food police, understanding of maybe that's somebody else's projection onto you, or maybe the statements I'm saying in my head are from other people's perception but not from my own. I get this a lot when I work with families, particularly of middle school, high school teenagers, where a parent might be saying, oh, I've never told my daughter or my son that they're fat, I've never said this, I've never said that. And then I look at, okay, what are you saying to yourself? Because that child is listening to what you say about yourself and maybe more internalizing that energy versus what you're saying to them directly. So if a mom or if a parent is really talking poorly about their own bodies or stigmatizing themselves, there's so many times a mom will cook for the family and the family is eating, but then the mom is still in the kitchen washing dishes. And it's like, it's so covert, the messages that you're sending of, I need to police myself.
Yeah. Wow. That is a great example, because we don't even think about just like the messages that we see and not hear. Like, what do I see, even as it relates to what does my overall family body's type look like? And so if I look differently, then how does that make me feel about myself? Because now I'm shaming my own self, but it's coming from the perception of what I see is my norm. Yes.
Right.
That's huge.
So when we talk about boundaries, the boundaries that you give yourself, literally you decide what they are.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like, oh, I don't meet the standard of my own family, or I don't meet the standard of what these Instagram influencers are doing with their filters, that's going to be a boundary within yourself of, you know what, I don't need to be in that conversation, or I don't need to engage in that line of questioning. I don't need to be following a certain people on social media when I know that cycle that it's going to have within myself.
Yes.
And maybe choosing instead, people talk about how social media is so negative. I really do think it can be a tool where you can follow intuitive eating practitioners, you can follow healthy mindful movement practitioners. I always talk about yoga with Adrienne, and she is not so much focused on the skill set of the practice of yoga, but really guides you to listen to what you need for that day, what you need in that moment. Are you wanting to challenge yourself? Are you wanting to nurture yourself? What are you getting from this practice? So using intuitive resources through social media can be a whole new boundary that you set with yourself of, this is what I'm getting from it, and this is what I really don't need anymore.
Okay, so you want to know what I've noticed about the biggest boundary that people are setting for themselves as relates to body image? So like, people will wear a certain color to cover themselves, or like a whole lot of clothing so that people won't see their body image. And that's kind of their boundary of saying, I don't want you to see me, or I don't want to reveal myself. And I think a lot of what goes into that is the idea that if I'm going to make those sound decisions for myself, I also have to just be comfortable with self. Like, even the ability to just be comfortable enough to check in with myself in the morning, look at myself in the mirror, and be okay with what I see, so that my decisions are not based from a judgment place, but it's based from, I'm okay, we're accepting what we see today, we're accepting how we feel today, and now I can make the best decision on what I need.
Right. One of the things I do for that practice of like really doing that mirror work is the mirror talk, that self-compassion of when you're looking in the mirror and these thoughts are coming up, maybe pre-programmed automatic negative thoughts. Let's take some time to reframe, either with something more realistic or something more compassionate. And then also looking at different parts of the body. How can we recognize our ability? How can we recognize, my nose shape reflects my family heritage, my feet size, whatever it is, my calves, my legs have been able to carry me so many different places, walk upstairs, or play with my children, and being able to recognize the ability and the meaning behind it versus constantly focusing on image and having that external meaning. We want to really, that's the basis of intuitive eating, is really shifting those motivations from external to internal, and really building that trust within yourself that you have a secure, confident belief in yourself, that you know what your body needs, and your body is going to tell you what is best for you in that moment, not anybody else.
Now, with that being said, having the secure mindset of what I need for myself, going back to, I can't really look at the expectations of other people. So even if it's a matter of having an individualized understanding of yourself, if you can see your primary care physician and talk about an individualized plan of your goals, of your health journey, and not necessarily looking at, well, this is what society says I need to look like, that's the goal that I'm trying to get there.
Right. And like really making that informed choice where you go from this antagonistic voice to an ally. Whether I'm using food as medicine, maybe I'm using a food rule to help me versus to take away. Going back to that intention of, am I doing this to deprive or to judge or to shame, or am I doing this to give to myself for wellness, or for security, or for confidence, and I know who I am and what I need.
Well, Courtney, I really thank you for taking some time and having this conversation. I hope that today's message is encouraging you guys to set the boundary with not only yourselves and your self-compassion talk in your own journey of wellness, but also with the people that have something to say about what you eat, how you look, what you have on. Instead of feeding into the shaming, reframe it and empower yourself. If the message is not coming from self, then ingrain that message from within. You're good enough, you're pretty enough, you're smart enough to make decisions for yourself. So if we need to mute some people on social media, or if we need to, just like you said, navigate what I am continuously feeding myself as it relates to visually feeding myself, to have a more compassionate concept of just myself, set the boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope you guys are staying tuned for the next series of our boundaries. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on our channel. Let us know if you have any feedback about today's message. We know that this message is necessary, and a lot of people have been really just in ways struggling with this. So we hope that we are encouraging you guys to set these boundaries.
Right.
Yes. So we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye.